Who hasn't been faced with a bunch of overripe bananas at some point? It's a common scenario in my kitchen, leading me naturally to the comforting process of baking banana bread. Recently, after refreshing my sourdough starter, I found myself craving something different from the usual crusty sourdough loaf. Inspired by this, I decided to merge the two concepts, utilizing the starter to infuse the banana bread with extra layer of flavor. This recipe is the result of that experiment. It's straightforward, delightfully tasty, and leans toward the healthier side without being overly sweet. I began by roasting walnuts in a 350-degree preheated oven for about 10 minutes or so to enhance their flavor. Then I set them aside to cool. Toasting not only contributes to the textural element of our bread, but it also introduces a depth of flavor. Next, I whisked together the dry ingredients: flour, baking powder, baking soda, cinnamon, and salt in a medium-sized bowl. Now this step is crucial to ensure that our leavening agents are evenly distributed throughout the flour. This will aid in achieving a uniform rise in our bread. In a separate bowl, I blend my homemade maple syrup, mashed bananas, sourdough starter, walnut oil for extra flavor, a fresh egg, chia seeds, a little water, vanilla extract, and ginger paste, and then I make sure to blend these ingredients thoroughly. Then I slowly add the dry ingredients to the wet mixture in stages, mixing until just combined. This is important to avoid over-mixing, as doing so can result in gluten development that would make the bread tough rather than tender. And, like I usually do, I decided to make 2 smaller loaves rather than 1 large one, and so I transferred half the batter to one prepared loaf pan and gently folded in the roasted walnuts to the other. And I like to weigh them both, and that just makes sure that they're relatively equal in weight and they'll bake more evenly. Then I put them in the oven at the same 350 degrees for about 55 to 60 minutes. I just make sure the bread has reached an internal temperature of 205 to 210 degrees Fahrenheit. I like to use a thermometer because it's more accurate and I prefer it to using a toothpick. Then I allowed the bread to cool in the pan for 10 minutes before transferring it to a wire rack. This resting period facilitates easier removal from the pan and it improves the bread's texture upon slicing. It was perfect when still slightly warm and smeared with butter, and it made for a quick and easy breakfast throughout the week.